8 News starts now with breaking news.
I didn't know Sean, but I shook his hand and wished him congratulations about 20 minutes before he died. I can't shake the image of him receiving CPR on the ground, still in his graduation gown.
Sean Jackson, Lorenzo Smith, the two lives lost in last night's school shooting at the Huguenot High School graduation.
Graduates and families had just begun to leave the Altria Theater cheering when chaos erupted, several shots ringing out and a scramble to find shelter. 5 others shot and several injured, including Sean's 9-year-old sister. We've got team coverage tonight all over the city, breaking down exactly what happened last night.
We've got 8 News reporters Alexis Bellamy and Roland Wilson here with us, and we'll get back to you later. But first, we want to take a look at the latest in this investigation. With so many details still coming in, let's begin at the center of this story.
We're joined now by 8 News reporter Autumn Childress, who is live at the Altria Theater tonight.
All I see right now, when I close my eyes, all I see is that boy, and I hear bullets.
Witnesses and victims all sharing their memories of what happened when those first shots rang out. 8 News reporter Alexis Bellamy spoke to a witness who was caught in the crossfire. She's live at Huguenot High School for us tonight. Alexis.
In Richmond, Alexis Bellamy, 8 News.
And Alexis, as you spoke to that witness today, what exactly did she see? I mean, did she tell you anything about how all this may have started?
And like Alexis said, witnesses quickly scattered after those shots were fired, quickly forming a stampede that caused several of those injuries. This witness was in the crowd last night. She explains the scene.
It just went crazy. It just became a fiasco. It was crazy.
And 19-year-old Amari Tydon Poller appeared for the first time in court since yesterday's tragic graduation mass shooting. 8 News reporter Roland Wilson was inside that courtroom. She joins us live now in Richmond. And Roland, fill us in on exactly what came out of today's courtroom appearance.
Gun control in the Commonwealth is in the spotlight once again, just a week after a major breakthrough in a shooting that made national headlines. Last week, Deja Taylor, the mother of the 6-year-old who shot his teacher at Rich Neck Elementary School, was sentenced to 2 years in prison. The judge chastised her for abdicating her responsibilities as a parent. Local officials are pushing to change the way parents are held responsible when their children are able to access guns in the home, with less than 3 weeks until the 2024 legislative session begins. Capitol Bureau reporter Tyler Englander has your Capitol Connection.
The deputies and hospital workers charged with second-degree murder in the death of Ivo Otieno have been released from jail after posting bond. So now the question is, what's next in this case? 8 News reporter Damon Reynolds joins us live from Henrico to break down those next steps. Damon?
We're now live in Henrico. Damon Reynolds, 8 News.
Damon, thank you for that. So we're digging into the concerns about whether it took too long for medics to show up the day Ivo Otieno died at Central State Hospital. Now, if you'll remember, one of the hospital workers called 911 repeatedly, asking why EMS still hadn't showed up. Take a listen.
911, where's your emergency?
Hey, our emergency is here at Central State Hospital. We called at least 15 minutes ago. This is just totally unacceptable, and y'all know it too.
So we have a timeline to show about the EMS arrival. The first call she's referring to was actually made here at 4:40, but the second call, 5:02. Our public records request shows that the average time it takes for first responders to get to Central State is just 12.5 minutes. But on that day, it took 2.5 times longer than usual.
If a tree falls in Richmond, it certainly makes a sound, especially when it lands on cars and homes like you see right here on your screen. We're taking a look at how locals are being impacted from county to county and what's being done to pick up the pieces. Let's start in Richmond, where some residents woke up without power this morning and a shocking scene of debris all around their homes. 8 News reporter Sierra Krug joining us live now with an up-close look at that damage.
Now to Chesterfield, where we find 8 News reporter Madison Moore live in a neighborhood there where she saw some extreme damage.
First, we have to talk about the first hurricane of the season. Idalia expected to make landfall within the coming days. Floridians are in preparation mode tonight. You can see them here filling sandbags to weigh down against those strong winds and fighting floods. Our Storm Tracker 8 team laid out the projected path of Idalia, and you can see right here on your screen. And while we may get lucky and stay out of the range, you can see the storm's impact will be vast.
And we are joined now by Chief Meteorologist John Bernier. So, JB, what is the latest?
Well, getting ready in Florida because it's going to be a very busy 24 hours for them over there, talking about what's going on. R2-D2, come on with me right here and let's show you what's going on. Here's the visible satellite photo of the storm.
And residents are preparing for the impact. 8 News reporter Blake Eason is live tonight in the St. Petersburg, Florida area. And how are things looking right now, Blake?
Hey, good afternoon to you. Great to be with you this evening on what really is shaping up to be a busy night here in St. Pete.
Predicted, Hurricane Idalia made landfall this morning in Florida with high winds and surging water.
Now our 8 News DC reporter Alexandra Limon joining us live from Washington with what we know about the damage so far and the federal response as well. Alexandra, good evening.
Live in Washington, Alexandra Limon.
And Alexandra, along those lines, we know the president went to Maui for those devastating wildfires there. Any indication that he'll be heading to Florida?
My son's a law enforcement officer, and he's encouraged me real bad to leave. Have ordered a lot of body bags.
Destruction in Florida, winds tearing down trees, power lines ripped off the poles, roadways turning to rivers. Hurricane Idalia has hit Florida, the formerly Category 4 storm, showing no mercy to the people of the Sunshine State. And 8 News reporter Autumn Childress is standing by with the aide set to leave Richmond to help. And Chief Meteorologist John Bernier tracking the latest. We'll hear from each of you in just a bit.
But first, take a look at this video coming out of Cedar Key. That's storm surge, and it's just tearing through the city. You can see it right there on your screen. The BBC reporting downtown Cedar Key is completely underwater. So, John, just devastating to see what these folks are witnessing tonight.
Got a few showers down to the south of us connected with a cold front, but all the big rain from Idalia, it's still down to the south of us, moving through heavily in South Carolina right now. Of course, now the story is going to be a lot of cleanup. And of course,
moving now to local heroes. Red Cross volunteers here in Virginia, as we just mentioned, are mobilizing tonight, preparing to head south to deal with the damage from Hurricane Idalia.
8 News reporter Autumn Childress joins us live.
Deal or no deal? How will the Richmond Grand Casino land this election day? With new audio surfacing of controversial comments made by supporters, the casino's opposition could hit the jackpot.
8 News is your local election headquarters with our very own Capitol Bureau reporter Tyler Englander waiting to tell us about the future of abortion rights in the Commonwealth. Tyler, we'll check in with you in just a bit.
But first, Richmond city leaders are calling out anti-Semitic remarks and hate speech by pro-casino reporters.
Mayor LeVar Stoney taking to Twitter saying, quote, "I unequivocally condemn the anti-Semitic remarks made by a guest host on the Box 99.5 FM regarding Paul Goldman." 8 News reporter Roland Wilson joining us live now in Richmond with reactions from both sides.
We are joined now by political analyst Randolph-Macon Professor Rich Marr to talk about what's at stake with today's results, and we appreciate you being here, Rich.
Great. Control of the Senate, the Republicans have control of the House. The Republicans particularly are pushing for what...
Thanks, James. And only on 8, we have exclusive video tonight of the day this fire happened.
8 News producer Gwen Miles was vacationing with her family back in 2019 and toured the Notre Dame the morning of the fire. Later that day, while walking through the city, chaos broke out. Take a listen. Gwen watched the fire begin from a boat on the River Seine. She says the giant cloud of black smoke could be seen blocks away from the cathedral. She and her family still remember the confusion on everyone's faces. They walked past, nobody knowing what was going on.
The roads surrounding the cathedral were blocked off, so Gwen couldn't get very close to begin with, but later on that evening, with the fire still ablaze, she gathered with hundreds of Parisians in the streets to sing along.
Yeah, and that's why I think it makes sense that Gwen says that she does still think about this often, to be there for such an impactful moment for something that the world is an icon across the world, right? It sticks with you.
It does. And she even took home a newspaper to remember the event. Gwen also remembers that her stepmom said something to her during their tour that morning. She said, "Reach out and touch it." When you never know how long something like this will be around. A very coincidental but very true statement.
I can't stand it. I was barely able to focus on school today first period because it was so hard.
Students should break a sweat studying up, not literally sweating in their seats. This extreme heat is lining up perfectly with back to school. And if the transition from summer to class wasn't hard enough, this weather sure is not making it any easier at all.
Well, tonight, at least 7 Virginia districts are debating Governor Youngkin's transgender student policies. Some adopting the guidelines, while others say they will stick to what they've been doing. Dr. Francisco Duran, Arlington superintendent, says, quote, "I oppose any policy that infringes upon the rights of our students." Governor Glenn Youngkin and Attorney General Jason Miyares are sounding off tonight on the growing opposition against the state's model policies for transgender students. Reaction, Deanna.
Well, Heather, the Attorney General issued a 10-page opinion challenging the school boards that question whether...
Tonight, 8 News has ring camera footage of a sneaky porch pirate snatching a package right out of a FedEx delivery driver's hand yesterday in Chesterfield. Take a look at your screen right now, and you can see the thief casually strolls up to the front door with the delivery driver, then bam, right there, grabs the package before they could even see it coming. 8 News reporter Madison Moore spoke to the homeowner today.
And in your Capitol connection, the Virginia Senate is rejecting Governor Youngkin's internet bill amendments. The bill would have required social media sites and other platforms to get parents' permission for access. 8 News reporter Damon Reynolds has more details on this vote and what it means going forward. Good morning, Damon.
Eric, back to you.
Well, Hannah, some of the president's political opponents have criticized him for not committing to visit Hawaii sooner. Any idea why the delay?
Former President Barack Obama sharing a video tonight urging people to, quote, Malama and help the victims in Maui. Malama means take care of and protect. For those who don't know, Obama grew up in Hawaii and has traveled there frequently with his family. He says they are mourning the beauty and the lives of the island now lost.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families that have lost so much. The thing about it is, though, thoughts and prayers in a moment like this are not enough.
Well, 8 News is once again partnering with Make-A-Wish Greater Virginia for our annual Wishes in Flight telethon. We're checking back in now with 8 News anchor and reporter Autumn Childress live in our lobby.
Wishes, and I want to introduce you to my new friend. This is 12-year-old Parker Plank, what a name, and his mom Janet. So thank you all for being here today.
It's really shaping up to be a beautiful day here in the River City, which is perfect for the Richmond Flying Squirrels. That's because the team is getting ready to face off against the Bowie Bay Sox. Now the game's starting tonight at 6:35, and while 8 News is always excited to cheer on the Flying Squirrels, we're even more excited for tonight's match. That's because right now our very own 8 News reporter Autumn Childress is there live at the Diamond, getting ready to throw out that first pitch. Autumn, how's it going out there? I know you're prepared.
And the gates open at 5 p.m. But Matt, it is raining a little bit right now. But what's the forecast looking like around game time?
Yeah, I think our party's out watching right now. But
our very own Storm Track Great meteorologist Matt DiNardo is there at the Diamond. Matt, I hear you threw the first pitch. How'd it go?
I threw the first pitch. It didn't go like I wanted to.
Remembering a music icon tonight, Tony Bennett dead at 96 years old. I look back on his decades-long career and the people he inspired.
Your golden sun will shine.